Brightest day, in the darkest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light.
This is the famous Green Lantern Oath, recited by many individuals from various walks of life as a promise to protect and watch over others. However, the meaning behind the term Green Lantern in the last line has been subject to interpretation. Some believe that the Green Lantern symbolizes nature, representing the power and beauty of the natural world. Others associate it with wealth and prosperity, considering it a symbol of financial abundance. However, the origins of the Green Lantern concept can be traced back to an ancient myth known as the Green Lantern Corps. The myth of the Green Lantern Corps is so deeply rooted in history that its exact origins are difficult to pinpoint. Similar to the legend of dragons, this myth has emerged in various cultures across different time periods. Each region has its own unique version of the tale, but there are common threads that tie them together. According to the myth, the Green Lantern Corps is a group of individuals who possess powerful rings fueled by their willpower. These rings enable them to create constructs made of green light. The leader of this group is known as the Guardians, described as short, blue-skinned beings that come from above the sky. Some researchers speculate that this reference to beings from above the sky may be an early indication of the existence of aliens. Although there is an abundance of evidence from different parts of the world that supports the existence of the Green Lantern Corps, it is unclear whether they are truly led by cosmic aliens. Nonetheless, the widespread belief in their existence suggests that there may be some truth to the myth. During the Great War, while many individuals enlisted in the army, others adopted colorful alter egos and became masked vigilantes, fighting the war in their own unique way. For many, this served as a coping mechanism, as it was more light-hearted to be a hero battling villains than a soldier engaged in the tragic realities of war. This trend continued throughout World War II, giving rise to numerous colorful heroes and villains. The Green Lantern persona, in particular, inspired many individuals during the Golden Age and Silver Age of superheroes, referring to World Wars I and II, respectively. It is estimated that at least 5 individuals took up the mantle of Green Lantern during this time.
And I shall shed my light over dark evil. For the dark things cannot stand the light of the Green Lantern.
During the Great Wars, the first individual to take up the name of Green Lantern was Alan Scott. Unfortunately, very little is known about his early life, including his hometown and his parents. It seems that his childhood remains a mystery, as there are no records or accounts of it ever being documented. What we do know is that when the Great Wars broke out in 1914, Alan Scott was working as an engineer for a railwork company in the capital city. On July 12, 1915, his name appeared in a newspaper article detailing a railwork accident. According to the newspaper, during one of the work projects on the outskirts of the city, Scott was struck by a derailed train. Tragically, the passengers on that train lost their lives. However, despite an extensive search around the rails for hours, Scott's body could not be found. As a result, the search team eventually gave up, and Alan Scott's name was listed among the deceased that night. Curiously, there is no further information or follow-up to this story. It is left to speculation that Alan Scott quietly returned a few days later, and for some reason, no one thought it necessary to publish any news about his return. Shortly after his mysterious reappearance, on July 20th, Alan made the decision to leave his job at the railwork company and pursue a completely different career at Apex Broadcasting Company. There, he worked as both a handyman and an engineer. In modern times, many speculate that Alan Scott's employment at Apex Broadcasting Company played a crucial role in his vigilante activities. Working at a broadcasting company would have provided him with access to the latest news and information about criminal activities happening in the city. This knowledge would have been invaluable in his pursuit of justice as the Green Lantern. His seemingly unremarkable status as a nobody turned out to be a blessing in disguise. When reports started circulating in the capital city newspapers about a mysterious figure donning a red shirt with a blue lantern emblem, blue pants, a black cape, and a mask, nobody could trace this figure back to Alan Scott at the radio company. Speculation grew about the origins of this mysterious figure, especially regarding the source of his green glowing ring. Many researchers now believe that the ring was crafted from a piece of kryptonite that Scott somehow came across during his unexplained absence. Not much is known about this first Green Lantern. Rumors of his extraordinary abilities, such as flight, phasing through walls and shooting energy beams, frequently made headlines. It remains a mystery how Scott managed to convince people of his secret persona's capabilities. It's likely that his knowledge of engineering helped him set up many lighting tricks when encountering criminals, fooling them into believing he possessed powerful abilities. Perhaps his job at the radio company played a role in creating the image of this powerful figure. It's quite intriguing to imagine reporting on your own secret identity's actions. The Green Lantern made appearances in both Capital City and later Gotham City during the Great War. Through various documents and letters, we now know that Alan Scott played a crucial role in helping the government establish the Justice Society of America during the Second World War, known as the Justice Society at that time. It wasn't until Scott's death in 1950 that the government publicly revealed his true identity as the original Green Lantern. However, his legacy was eventually overshadowed by others who took up the Green Lantern mantle after him. Born in Coast City, California, America, Harold Jordan was the son of Martin Jordan, an Air Force test pilot and employee of Ferris Aircraft during World War I. On a fateful mission, Martin failed to save a malfunctioning fighter jet and crashed to the ground, leaving behind his wife, Jessica Jordan. Hal had two brothers, Jack Jordan and James Jordan, although not much is known about the two. Hal soon followed in his father's footsteps and became a test pilot at Ferris Aircraft. During those days, he flew multiple never-before-tested aircraft without hesitation. His fellow employees said they never saw Hal show fear. However, he was eventually kicked out of the Air Force for assaulting an officer, and details of this incident remain unclear. Like Alan Scott before him, Jordan worked as an engineer. Hal Jordan later got recruited into the JLA project following the breakout of World War II, likely due to his flying ability and fearless reputation. It is speculated that during his time in the project, he may have met and even trained under Alan Scott, since after becoming the second Green Lantern, he was seen wielding the same glowing green ring as Scott. The Hal costume closely resembles the attire described for the Green Lanterns in ancient myths, more so than the Alan Scott costume ever could. Soon, Hal Jordan established a reputation for power that rivaled, or perhaps even surpassed, that of Alan Scott. With the backing of government-funded media and technology, this new Green Lantern seemed to have expanded upon the methods previously utilized by Alan Scott, garnering widespread belief in his abilities and aiding America in avoiding numerous conflicts. It should be noted that there is no conclusive evidence to suggest that Hal Jordan's powers were fabricated by the government, the Justice League of America, JLA, or both. Many people in modern times still choose to believe that Hal Jordan and other superheroes of his era genuinely possessed the powers attributed to them by the media of that time. Several pictures have surfaced depicting Hal Jordan's Green Lantern creating glowing constructs such as jet planes and punching gloves to combat entire armies. However, it is important to consider that modern historians view the JLA as more of a scare tactic than an actual military group, and these pictures may very well be fabrications employed by the government to deter enemies from crossing their borders. Although not as prominent as other members of the JLA during that period, Hal Jordan's Green Lantern inspired others to join him in taking up the mantle. One such individual was Guy Gardner, who was born in 1905 and raised in Baltimore by his abusive and alcoholic parents, Roland and Peggy Gardner. Guy endured daily physical and emotional abuse at the hands of his father, with visible injuries such as bruises, cuts, and bumps, as well as invisible wounds inflicted upon him emotionally. In school, Guy strove to win his father's approval, but was instead overshadowed by his older brother, Mace. Guy found solace in General Glory comic books, even emulating Glory's sidekick, Ernie, with his bowl haircut. During his teenage years, Guy became a delinquent, constantly defying authority. However, his older brother, now a police officer, managed to steer him back on the right path. Guy eventually attended college, supporting himself and earning bachelor's degrees in education and psychology from the University of Michigan. He also played football until a career-ending injury that deeply affected him. After college, Guy worked as a social welfare caseworker, focusing on the rehabilitation of prison inmates. However, he abandoned this line of work due to his fear that it brought out his aggressive nature. He then became a teacher for children with disabilities. During his tenure as a Green Lantern, Hal Jordan crossed paths with Guy, and the two formed a friendship. At this point, Hal's role as the Green Lantern had not yet been revealed to the public, and it remains unknown whether Hal ever divulged his secret to Guy or if Guy independently discovered it. Shortly after Hal's emergence as the Green Lantern, Guy embarked on his own vigilante journey, adopting the name Green Lantern and donning a suit remarkably similar to Hal's, complete with a green glowing ring. How Guy came into possession of this ring remains a mystery, but it is possible that he obtained it through his connection with Hal Jordan. The confusion deepens with the appearance of the fourth Green Lantern, John Stewart, a former U.S. Marine from Detroit. Being a black man in the middle of the 20th century, John faced greater challenges than many others in securing employment as an architect. After an encounter with Hal Jordan, John also assumed the name Green Lantern and became a vigilante, serving as a symbol for other black individuals in America, inspiring them to stand up and seek justice for themselves. Both Guy and John followed the same power motifs as the other two Green Lanterns, with stories circulating about their ability to fly and create constructs out of green light. Now, we have 4 individuals who possess glowing rings and are said to possess the same range of abilities. It leads us to consider the possibility that beings with superpowers may have indeed existed in the middle of the 20th century. However, until concrete evidence emerges, nothing can be confirmed. JLA members treat Guy and John as part of their team, even though they were never officially recruited by the government. They are considered honorary members and serve as backups for Hal Jordan. If Hal is unavailable for a mission, the JLA always turns to the other Lanterns for assistance. It's unclear whether the government approves of this arrangement, but the JLA has a reputation for going against higher authority. After World War II, the government couldn't disband the group, and they continued operating under the new name Justice League. Rumors persist to this day that they are still active, and that one of Earth's orbiting satellites serves as their headquarters. During around 1960, followed the retirement of Hal Jordan, Guy and John. A criminal named Simon Baz managed to escape from jail while donning a Green Lantern suit and wielding a mysterious glowing ring. The origin of this suit and ring remains unknown. In the following years, Jessica Cruz, who suffered from social anxiety due to witnessing her mother's murder at the hands of the Mafia, experienced a mental breakdown. She emerged as a Green Lantern, causing havoc and hurting others until the Justice League intervened, and both Simon and Jessica embraced their roles as Green Lanterns, using their powers to bring about positive change in society, particularly in the aftermath of World War II. However, they eventually vanished without a trace, leaving their fates uncertain. The peaceful existence of the Green Lanterns took a devastating turn with the tragic Coast City bombing of 1942. This act of destruction resulted in the complete devastation of Coast City, California, and caused numerous casualties. The responsible party behind this heinous act remains unknown, and rumors suggest that the FBI is still actively investigating the case. The destruction of his beloved hometown had a profound impact on Hal Jordan, causing him to spiral into a state of madness. Abandoning his allegiance to the Justice League and government control, Jordan transformed into a violent criminal known as Parallax. He turned his rage towards his former comrades, targeting those he once fought alongside. In an attempt to apprehend Jordan, Guy and John were dispatched but suffered severe injuries in the process. Realizing the importance of preserving the legacy of the Green Lanterns, the government sought to prevent the myth from ending with this tragic incident. In a seemingly random selection, struggling artist Kyle Rayner was chosen to become the replacement Green Lantern. Rayner, who had been avoiding military service, lacked any martial arts or military background. The details of Rayner's confrontation with Hal Jordan remain unclear, but he ultimately succeeded in capturing him. Jordan was deemed mentally unstable and was sent to Arkham Asylum for rehabilitation. During his initial years at Arkham, Jordan frequently muttered phrases such as, "I can save them," but the Guardians didn't allow, leading some to theorize that he had attempted to secure government funding for a project to rebuild Coast City but was denied. This further supports the notion that Jordan genuinely believed himself to be a Green Lantern from the myth. Hal got out in 1950. Guy and John eventually recovered, and they forgave Hal after he reached out to them, although some may argue it was too easy to the ex-criminal. The trio lived quietly for the rest of their lives. To this day, there is a conspiracy theory that Parallax is not Hal Jordan, but an imposter who captured and impersonated him. In the JLA leaked files incident on 1997, there is a file that mentions Hal Jordan being possessed by Parallax, but the meaning of this quote is still a subject of debate. Throughout history, the Green Lanterns have stood as beacons of hope and willpower, inspiring others to rise up and fight for justice. From the legendary Alan Scott and Hal Jordan to the unyielding Guy Gardner, the steadfast John Stewart, and the creative Kyle Rayner, these heroes have shown that anyone can become a Green Lantern, regardless of their background or circumstances. Their unwavering commitment to upholding the oath that drives them has not always led to perfect outcomes, but it has always guided them towards the path of righteousness.
Brightest day, blackest night.
No evil shall escape my sight.
Let those who worship evil's might
Beware my power, Green Lantern's light.